We shouted for freedom. We prayed for peace. We stood in front of tanks, and the world watched us rise. But what happens after the revolution? What happens when the dictator falls, and the work begins? This is not a story of endings. This is a story of everything that followed. This is part 6, The Price of Peace. February 1986. Marcos was gone. The people had won. But freedom is not self-cleaning. Cory Aquino took the presidency. She wore yellow. She symbolized hope. But she inherited a country cracked by debt, fear, and disbelief. How do you govern a miracle? The euphoria faded quickly. Peace came. But peace comes with a price. Democracy returned, slowly, haltingly, unevenly. The Constitution was rewritten. Institutions were rebuilt. But corruption doesn't vanish. Old dynasties returned. Power shifted, but often recycled. For every honest leader, there was one who simply learned how to steal quietly. Democracy is fragile. It doesn't thrive on noise. It demands vigilance. And many were simply too tired to keep watch. The people expected change, but change takes time, and time doesn't feed your family. The gap between rich and poor remained. Foreign debt strangled growth. The government was democratic, but the system still wasn't fair. What was the revolution for, they asked, if the rent was still due, and the rice was still short? Democracy means everyone gets a vote. But it doesn't mean they all vote for the future. The Marcos name returned, first quietly, then louder, then confidently. Estrada, the movie star, rose to power. Arroyo followed, with policies and scandal. The names change, but the power rarely left the families who always had it. What do you do when the past refuses to stay buried? The first revolution was lightning. The second was rain. By the time the third storm came, many stayed indoors. People Power too removed another president, Estrada. But the passion had dimmed. Protests became photo ops. Movements became hashtags. And slowly, the people began to wonder if real change was even possible. It's not apathy, it's exhaustion. The Philippines survived dictators, but it could not escape disaster. Natural calamities, terror attacks, scandals that made even the loyal lose faith. Every time the nation stood up, something knocked it down. But every time it was knocked down, somehow it stood again. History became a debate. Heroes became hashtags. Truth became tribal. One generation remembered torture. The next remembered TikTok. The Marcos name rose again. And this time, it didn't meet the same resistance. Because memory fades, but struggle doesn't. And the real war now is for the minds of those too young to remember. The government has failed many. But the people? They have not failed each other. In small barangays, in public schools, in OFW households across the world, Filipinos have kept the light on. Not through slogans, through sacrifice. Hope is not always loud. Sometimes it sounds like laughter after the storm. Sometimes it looks like one more rice field harvested, one more child sent to school. Sometimes it's just surviving. And that's enough. We're still deciding, still searching, still arguing about who we are. And maybe that's the most Filipino thing of all. We fight. We fall. We forgive. We forget. We remember. We resist. The story is not over. Democracy is not done. The revolution is not just something we did. It's something we still do, in classrooms, in conversations, in every decision that shapes the nation. Peace is not free. It never was. It costs time. It costs truth. It costs remembering, even when it's easier to forget. The price of peace is vigilance, is sacrifice, is refusing to give up, even when your heart wants to. This was part 6, not the end, just the present. And what comes next is up to us.